video slash story time on our WABCO C-Pull. That's how it steers. It's electric. Touch that toggle switch. This small block Chevy's kind of noisy. Oh boy. Yeah, this is a 1962 WABCO C-Pull self-loader. Got the chain in it, loading chain. I've had this thing for probably 25 years. Don't use it every day, but when we need it, we need it. What's interesting, anybody that's not familiar with the WABCO, you got your 8V71 Detroit. That is a three-phase 300-volt generator, and then you've got a clutch, manual clutch behind that, and 5-speed transmission. You drive it just like a truck. We've got teeth on the cutting edge, and I see I'm missing one right there. That's not cool. 6 teeth. Generally, when you go into a cut, I'm only cutting maybe 3 inches maybe at a time, but in 75 feet you got to load. Takes maybe load and load gear about 45 seconds and maybe to a minute, and you got to load. And the way it dumps behind the cutting edge, you got a trap door right there. And there's your sliding door, and this cutting edge drops down. It's got like a dozer cutting edge on that'll drop down. You can spread your material. You can spread it heavy. You can drop it, spread it thin if you're doing topsoil, or leave it high if you're building a pond, dumping clay. Model C. LeTourneau Westinghouse. Yeah, I'm not sure when they started these things. I want to say maybe 40s, late 40s. That RG LeTourneau, he was pretty sharp. Walk around here, we got Danger High Voltage. High Voltage, I think that was an old AC/DC album back in the day. There's your switches, your 3-phase switches. These are, there's each leg. I think that's a turn left, and this is a turn right. This is your elevator chain. That's what kicks your elevator chain on. It's got electric motors up there, 300-volt 3-phase. And it doesn't have an alternator. This thing actually charges off of a set of rectifiers up under the floor plate, and I should say, I think the rectifiers are in here, and there's a flux, what they call flux bridge, and you have to adjust. That's a story in itself, but buddy Rob, member from Washington State, helped me line it out here a couple, 3 years ago. It wasn't charging. And that's what this wire is all about. We had a broken wire and it was just in bad shape. We just ended up running a new wire, so he was a lot of help on that. A few guys around here are sure. I got all the books on it, but it's sometimes it helps if you're talking to somebody that's been there and done it. Hydraulic pumps on the front. That runs your cylinders and your dump apron. And here we come. This is going to be the first video in our catastrophic failure series. And I could not find... Yes, we had a catastrophic failure, engine failure. In this rascal. We was building about a 2-acre, 2.5 acre lake for a farmer. And what had happened, this thing got to kind of making a ticking sound. It almost sounded like it was on the top end. It didn't sound that bad. And then it got a little bit louder, and I got off the throttle real quick and let it idle. And all of a sudden it went wham bam, locked up tighter than a jug. And I had a hole out the side of the block. It was a bad day for the crane and rigging guys. Not good. And what had happened is the sleeve had busted in this area where your intake ports are, and half the sleeve got jerked down in the pan. The other part remained, so when that piston came back up, it caught that edge and broke the rod. I can't find the old rod. What I believe happened is there's the retainer. That's what holds your wrist pin in, and those just pop in there. They're kind of like they're real hard steel, and I got a special tool to put them in with, but they pop in and they kind of do what I call an oil can. They kind of, that's it. That's all. There's no snap ring, no nothing. That's how they was made, and for the most part they work. And I'm not 100% sure. I think that came out and got it. Something got caught in here, and could have been rings. I don't know. I wouldn't think rings would do that, but anyhow, we jerked the sleeve in half, got a hole in the side of the block. And if you come around here, you can kind of see the patch behind the starter. It's just bolted on the side of the block. Luckily, the way that block's made, we were below the water jacket and any oil galleys. I was lucky in that respect, and my crankshaft was not damaged. We actually rebuilt the scraper right on the job site. We didn't have any choice. I had a half a load of dirt on and hole through the side of the block, so we just did it kind of dirt track style and put a new rebuild kit in it. And I had to replace a few valves on that one cylinder. I think I had to replace had some bent valves. Had to put in. And I had a spare, because if your crankshaft's still good, you can in-frame these things. If your crank's toast, you're done. But I know when we was initially trying to figure out what all was wrong, we went to bar it over after we had the connecting rod off, and the thing still wouldn't hardly turn. It turned real hard, and I was afraid to crank it any further. And the next step was we removed took the top off the blower, and I mean, it looked like a hand grenade had went off in there. It was just shrapnel. I don't know if piston rings and shrapnel from this thing somehow got back through that blower. And so that was cranking over real hard, so we had to take the blower off, take it back to the shop. I did not disassemble it. I was able to reach in through the top and find each little hickey, and it don't take much. The tolerance is real tight on those things. And took a die grinder and cleaned each one up to where I got that thing where it's turning free again. And washed it all out, hosed it out, and dried it out. I think a rebuild kit on it was $1,200. They're not much more than that today. Still don't cost too much to work on them. But yeah, I had to work a while on that blower to get it to where it was right. And of course, I was down for about 2.5 weeks time we got the thing to blowing smoke again. But we finished up the job, and it was hilarious. The farmer came down after we had the episode, and I told him, I said, well, I'm going to need a piece of metal to patch that block with. He went down to his shop and he brought back that piece of, I don't know, what is it, 14 gauge, something like that. Something off a grain bin project. I didn't even have to cut it. It fit in there perfectly. And we just siliconed around the edges there. Surprisingly, it don't leak. But I guess my point of the catastrophic failure video was it had a happy ending, and it didn't break the bank to fix it. We was in a position there was nothing to lose. This engine here, like a Jasper engine, you're probably looking $20,000 for that motor, and they wouldn't have gave me a core because it had a hole inside the block. So we'll just keep it and run it. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. It's got air horns on it. And interestingly enough, it's got your transmission oil pressure. It's got a pump in the transmission. When you push the clutch in, that gauge will drop. And this is these are light switches. This is your switch. See it drop? That's kicking your 3-phase on. And these switches, they're 24 volt DC. And then it gets all converted to the 3-phase back for your motor, and there's a steering motor. There's your steering motor, and it's got a reduction gearbox. So, well, I can't think of anything else, but that's one of our bad failures that had a happy ending. We'll see you later, folks.